just wanted to give you guys a heads up about what we got going on for the next couple weeks.
Next couple weeks, due to COVID-19 and the spike of cases, we're going to take a couple weeks off. This episode we just filmed had enough content to cover us for the next 2 weeks, so you'll get to see part 1 and part 2, which will be posted. Part 1 will be posted tonight, part 2 will be posted next Sunday night. Then after the 2 weeks, we'll come back with each one of us kind of isolated, quarantined, if you will, on Zoom, kind of doing our own thing with our guests. Again, thank you to all of our followers and listeners that have been here with us since episode 1 or that have joined in. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Anything else, Coach?
Man, I think you got it, sir.
Yeah, perfect.
We just want to, shout out to all of you out here that have been tuning in and giving us some love. This particular episode, we had a little more swearing than normal, but it's what it is, you know. So
it was real talk,
it was real talk, yeah. And so,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for the future,
please. Hey, welcome to the third episode of the Coffee Table Podcast, man. We are extremely blessed today to have my guy, my man, Mr. David Jones, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, y'all?
What's up with you, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just, I'm to be honest, I'm gonna be real. Like right now, I'm on kind of a high, because of one thing, the Clubhouse app.
Okay.
Like, I'm real excited about the Clubhouse app, man. I think it's the next phase of like, I think it's the next platform that's gonna be really fruitful and really great for networking and great for people like myself who have a lot of things to say.
Yeah, I feel you, man. So the Clubhouse, I've been hearing a few things about it, man, and then you were telling me recently, you know, man, that's the next move, Jack. That's the next move. So
yeah, it is.
You know, I may have to look into that, you know.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. But other than that, man, we just got off a week vacation. Really, it wasn't. I mean, we stayed at the house the whole time. You know, like it wasn't vacation. So I never really got to unplug all the way from the business because, you know, today we're dropping. I made 2 pieces of content for the business today. We're dropping our year in review, which a lot of people look forward to.
Right.
And that's gonna be fire. Use my guy Finnessy on that, the soundtrack on that.
Okay. And Finnessy, dope producer out of Washington State, by the way.
Yeah, Finnessy, man.
Is he a Tacoma head?
That brother.
Is he a Tacoma head? Is he from Tacoma?
He went to Puyallup High School. Lived out in kind of the edge of Tacoma, Canyon Road-ish.
Yeah.
But that's back then when I knew him, when I was messing with him. But now he's in LA. He's doing a lot of, he's signed with a publishing agent group, and he does a lot of like B and C tier production right now, and mixing and mastering, but he puts out his own stuff at times.
Yeah.
But he's really now on bigger projects now. Like,
good for him.
Producing and mixing, like, you know, those stars that are just getting ready to blow. Like, and the companies are starting to push money towards him. He's on them right now.
That's what's up.
40,000, 50,000, 60, and he'll produce and mix those, and then they go pop a little bit. But he's going to be on the. You're going to be like, he's going to be behind some of the biggest records in 5 to 10 years, easy, no questions asked.
I can dig it. Hey, well, before we even really get into our RIPs and we get down to the different situations and what we got going on today, let people know who you are and how you and I know each other, and just a few things like what you're doing, your career path.
So my name's Dave Jones. Jay Jack and I know each other because my older brother, and Jay Jack went to Central Washington University. In the middle of Washington, and I used to go up and visit. I was in high school still, so I go up and visit.
It was popping.
Ellensburg, and my brother would always be like, "Man, you got to meet this dude, Jay Jack. He loves music. He's the only other person who loves music more than you." And I was just like, "Man, all right, I got to meet this dude." So I used to go up to Central in Ellensburg, and I roll up there. We met. And you gave me you showed me all the tapes and stuff. I was like, I was in your room and we listened to Odd Squad and
yes, sir.
You had these tapes and joints that I was like fiending to hear, but I didn't have the money to buy. You know, and so we just connected like that. You're one of the funniest cats I know. You be freestyling and all this other stuff, man. We got into a lot of trouble up there, but
man.
But yeah, man, and then we just always kept in touch. And then so me personally, I was a teacher for 14 years. I was in education, and in December 2017, my wife and I broke off, and I ended up. My last gig was an assistant principal at Foss High School here locally, And in that time, I was a head boys basketball coach. I was the webmaster at Stadium High School. I ran FBLA. Pretty much did any and everything. Piloted programs for the district. And then we opened up Windermere Boats, or Windermere Real Estate Company. We opened up with 7 agents, and now we have 24. We're in our 3rd year, or just finished up our 3rd year. 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, we just finished up our 3rd year. Had a great year in a pandemic, so I feel bittersweet about that, obviously. But we're just rolling into our 4th year, man, and it feels like things are taking off professionally. And real estate is what I'm doing now, and I own a business, and that's what I eat, sleep, and breathe. But at the same time, I have many other interests,
endeavors,
basketball,
for sure.
music, content. Like I'm all up in all of those. So.
Yeah, and it's cool too, because man, you most definitely put your stamp on everything that you do. You never do anything half-ass. Never. Like, that's one thing. I mean, I can say a bunch of great stuff about you, but you're a go hard or go home guy, man, and it shows. Like, when you were in the education system, man, I used to hear stuff about you all the time, man. You got people in the education game, that are just, if I bring up your name, all I gotta do is go, when I come to the town, just, hey, David Jones. What? Oh, well, Mr. Jones? Like, it's a beautiful thing to see how
That's
you just
crazy,
put your
man.
footprint in everything, man. And so,
Hey, you know what's funny though?
Yeah.
I don't even see it that way. Like, you know me. Like, I'm just a real cat. Like, I don't even see it that way. Like, you seen on the vlog, my boys, they humble me. Like, they keep you humble. Like, he's like, you're still annoying. Like,
yeah, for real.
Kids keep you humble, man.
As
Like,
they
so-
should, as we should.
Well,
right.
that's what
I
your people are
appreciate
for. Your people are for humbling you, right?
Yeah,
Right.
for
Your
real.
real one's humbling you.
Yeah, as
Right.
they should,
Like,
man.
they should.
But they better expect it coming back tenfold.
Yeah.
Hey, so one more thing too before we slide into our next little piece, because you and I, we can get on these tangents, and I do have my guy Funky Cole Medina here, who's
What's up,
he's
man?
got a lot of nice stuff set up for us, man. He's like my logistics
A
guy,
lot of
man.
knowledge today too to bring.
And yeah, man, he's got a lot of knowledge to bring today, man, and he just really wants to soak some stuff up from you like a sponge. So, but
Well,
you
I
are a
appreciate
principal.
y'all having me on, man.
Oh, of course,
Yeah,
man.
anytime, man.
Before we get into anything, like I am very appreciative of the platform. I appreciate what y'all are doing. I love watching it grow. Like, that's the thing about this day and age, is people can be seen as like, I don't think celebrities are celebrities are kind of, they losing their steam, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you a celebrity and you ain't on these apps and you ain't connecting with people face to face, someone else is.
Right.
So
right.
I mean, that's
real.
a fact. That's a
Yeah,
fact. It's a
that's
fact
real.
of life.
Hey, back to your education piece, because I'm still in the education, obviously. I still work at
Right.
high school. Once you finished that, you were at, was it Stadium that was a school where Mean Girls was filmed? Which one was school?
Oh, we're talking about
yeah.
Mean Girls now.
Stadium High School,
Yeah.
10 Things I Hate About You. That's still in syndication everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, man. 10 Things I Hate About You, man. Yeah, that's funny. That's one of the most beautiful schools in the nation. But anyways, he taught there, just to let the public know. This is my guy. He's
Yeah.
famous. No, he taught there, But then after he was teaching, you slid into being doing administration, though, right? I want you to talk a little bit about the transition from being a teacher to going to being the principal or vice principal. What was that like?
It was challenging, man. I'll be honest. It was challenging because I enjoyed kids, and I thought that I would not be around kids as much. But what I found was I wanted to have more influence than just what was on my classroom. I felt like in that classroom, the vibes were cool.
Right.
I taught all kinds of stuff. I was actually thinking about a story earlier this morning. This is the kind of stuff I used to do in the classroom. So you walk in, I had a computer lab, right? So I taught career and technical ed. I had a computer lab, and one day I remember, and I cringe when I think about this now. Remember that picture of Lil Wayne and Baby kissing?
Yep.
So I would like broadcast that on everybody's screen, just randomly, in the middle of a lesson, and just boom. And I'm all about creating debate, you know me.
Right,
So
I know
it's
you are.
You learn the best when you care passionately about something and you argue it. So, because you then have to create points, you have to look up, you have to know what you're talking about, kind of.
Word.
And I would do stuff like that, and I'd be like, all right, well, what's this mean? Because at that time, Lil Wayne was seen as the greatest rapper alive, and he was talking about fucking all these bitches and all this, and I was like, wait, but he's kissing Lil Baby on the lips right here. What's that mean? And I'm asking the question. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, what does that mean? Like,
Right.
how do you take this in? Like, is he lying? Like, what? what's going on here? I'm confused. And I wanted to ask the younger generation what they thought about that. You know, and so I was always just poking.
Right.
Poking.
You still do.
Which is what I do.
I love it.
But making that transition from a teacher, so someone like that who has direct contact with kids all the time,
Right.
and a captive audience almost, to like running a building, it's a whole different, it's middle management.
Yeah.
You know, the goal is to then help the teachers become better instructors and take some of those things that I learned in my classroom to help other teachers then, and then you have bigger impact and bigger influence over the whole building, which is what I enjoy.
Okay.
And the reason why I got out is because I was like, well, I don't want to be tied to a building. I feel like my skill set is bigger than just this building or even this community. I'm not saying bigger, I'm sorry.
Right.
Bigger is the wrong word. I just feel like I can influence
more.
and impact more people
I got you.
than just in this building. Because that job will definitely, I learned that if as a principal, like that's my life.
Right.
And I was like, I got too many other things I enjoy doing for that to be my entire life.
Right.
Like, I needed to be reaching out more instead of just eating me up at every second. And yeah, I like to shoot video. I like to tell stories. I like things too much.
Yeah, you do it
just
well. You do it well,
have
man.
that job just, run my entire life. I'm good on that. I was good.
Good. Okay.
All right. Well, so kind of.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, kind of want to kick in. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we have before we start the show, disclaimer on the topic. We kind of decided that. So this is going to be, obviously, if you can't tell from Dave's hoodie, this is going to be kind of about the movement.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by the movement is the BLM, Black Lives Matter movement. And we kind of each have our own kind of get up that goes with the show. I kind of go kind of fancy style. You're going about it. And then we got Reebok discount LeVar Ball over here. Trying to talk 40 on people.
Trying to call me LeVar.
Coming to an elementary school gym near you. So just get like we kind of like we joke here, but this is all our own opinion. So for people who take things seriously, like this is our own opinion. We all believe that everyone has their own opinion, but this is our opinions, and we just kind of saying it on the show. I just wanted to say that out to the viewers.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback on what Funky Cold said. We're going to touch on a lot of things. We're going to touch on sports. We're going to touch on music, culture, a lot of stuff in this particular episode. It's not excluded from any particular episode, but we just want people to know because we talk about everything in general. And we said it in the first episode. When we start talking about race and different things like that, that is not political. That is human rights issues. So people need to understand the difference. Don't be like, oh, you're talking politics. If you're hurt or your feelings are hurt, you won't be able to tune in because we're talking about race. I get it. You don't have to tune in, but we're not talking politics. We're talking about race. So we're talking about human rights. So
I would argue too. It's just like, what does that mean about you? I think that's a lot of reflection on you. What does that mean about you and how we've been taught, and why is race such a touchy subject? It's only a touchy subject because of what's happened historically.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's a fact.
It doesn't have to be a touchy subject.
I agree.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
I agree.
So we just wanted to put that Dave, because we talk about a lot of different stuff on here.
Absolutely,
we have,
yeah.
and I have, how it is. We talk to whoever, all kinds of people in all kinds of facets and backgrounds.
I'm a happy dude.
Yeah.
Good. I like
that's what we do.
By the way, I like your style, man. Just want to throw that out there. Listen.
Thanks, man.
I like it, and I do like the quarantine beard too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The
I'm keeping it.
I like it. I like it. The gray hair. The gray hair's got you looking distinguished.
Yeah. Listen.
Man. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I'm rolling with it.
No, I mean,
I'll be honest. Like that, Just for Men has been treating me right a little bit. Like, sometimes I gotta make a call to Just for Men.
That's what's up.
But what I was gonna say is props to your beard because you're still, you're still doing your thing. You're still performing. Unlike Playoff P, who we won't get into on this episode, but Playoff P got the beard and he went flat. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, man, Playoff P. Whew.
Anyways.
We'll get into that later.
Yes.
There's a lot to say about it.
Anyways.
I mean, not a lot of negative things. I love Playoff P. He's one of my favorites. But.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna hold my tongue on that Playoff P because I like Paul George as a player, but he ain't showing up right now.
Right.
That's a whole different story. Anyways,
let's jump on that rookie watch.
Speaking of basketball, rookie watch. So how I do every week: points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game. This week, our 5 leaders in points per game: Anthony Edwards with 15.4, And I told you that Anthony Edwards is different on the rookies right now, and here's why. The next closest is James Wiseman with 11.6.
Okay.
Then we got LaMelo Ball, 11.5. Tyrese Halliburton, 10.6. Patrick Williams, 10.17. Rebounds per game, we got Isaiah Stewart of Detroit with 6.67. James Wiseman with 5.6. Denny Avdia from Washington with 5.7. Cole Anthony with 5. Sadiq Bey with 4.75. Assists, we got Halliburton again with 4.4. LaMelo with 4.17. Killian Hayes with 4. Cole Anthony with 3.3. And Denny Avdia with 2.67.
Well, I'm going to jump right in now, and I'm concerned about my picks for who I got as rookies.
Okay, first of all, Obi Toppin hasn't played a game
I'm
yet,
concerned.
So we need to give him some time. We need to give him.
We only got 72 games, man. I need that cat playing ball.
First of all, I just want to say something. The New York Knicks are balling without him. They are low-key
Wait till
balling.
they get him back.
Wait till they get him back.
Knicks are hooping.
Well,
The
they
Knicks
got
are
coaches,
hooping
and
finally.
those
The
guys want
Knicks
to play
are
for Thibodeau.
finally hooping.
They want to play for Thibodeau. Like, if you're young, he's the perfect coach for you because he's going to make you work. He's going to make you play
Wait. I have one critique of Thibodeau.
Mm-hmm.
He may have ruined Derrick Rose's career. Because Derrick Rose shouldn't have been in up 22 points in that game.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on Thibodeau. The young guys like to play for Thibodeau. But Thibodeau's got to learn not to overplay players.
I get you with that. I can get behind that, but it's hard too, man. It's hard to
Because think
save
about
a
what
player from themselves sometimes too.
No, but I'm saying if D-Rose didn't have all those injuries, think about what he could have been.
Oh yeah, don't sleep on him to this day. He still get his.
I agree. I think Thibodeau's style is great for regular season and great for building a franchise. If all those players are about playing basketball, so I think a second to third year player who's been on a losing team is the perfect person for Thibodeau.
RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox.
Right.
Do I need to keep listing names?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Dennis Smith
Now,
Jr.
If they want to get to that next level,
Yeah.
I don't think he's the guy to do that.
Well, the one guy that has been hooping under him is Julius Randle. Julius Randle been hooping.
Julius
Randle
Randle
hoops no matter what.
Right.
Yeah.
I won I went a fantasy season off of Julius Randle. I picked him up, and he was one of my top fantasy players.
You know it's tough though. I hear you on the Tibbs piece, but the tough part about some coaches, and it's in every sport, if they've had their footprint, in the sand as a head coach, a lot of them, man, are very prideful and don't want to take an assistant job. But you know who seems to take a lot of assistant jobs, which is going to lead into something we're going to talk about later. A lot of your African American coaches that were head coaches, they have no issue taking an assistant job. But I noticed with some coaches, they just won't do that. And I think what you're saying would be perfect for like a Tibbs to be like, you know what? I'm gonna slide to the side and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna coach some defense. We'll get into that a little bit later. I know that's a big part of what we want to talk about in regards to the different coaches and different things. So
Exactly. And one point I want to make quickly is, and again we'll get into it later, but I still think that another individual should be coaching the Knicks. But when we get into the head coaches in the NBA, I'll bring that up. Anyways, so a tradition we have on this show is we have a different beverage every single drink. This week, I went out and got green tea from the Asian market, Japanese green tea.
Zoom in on that. There we go. We good. Fresh.
So a little bit of some Japanese green tea.
This is called a Yamamoto Yama.
Yeah.
Sencha. We're drinking Sencha. It's that loose green tea.
Exactly. And actually, a little bit something about the Sencha for you guys who don't know. That's the highest quality of green leaf tea you can get.
Green leaf.
And the thing is there's matcha green tea, but that's more of like a powder, and like there's a process that they do to growing that. And my dad used to travel a lot for business, and when he would go to Japan, he actually got to see that process head on.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah. So I'm jealous of that. Japan's on my list of places I want to visit, but Coach, if you'll do the honors,
absolutely.
Green tea.
Hey, Deacon, man, we wish you had a cup of this with us, man.
I'm not a coffee drinker.
Hey, I wish I could.
My wife hooked it up though this time. We do something different every week. I don't know if you've seen the other episodes, man, but the first one, I had a little spill about deal about the Arizona tea. The Arizona drinks, because that's the move. Go grab an Arizona for 99 cents, man. And I was talking about how I went into a couple little spots, man, and they was charging $1.69 for the Arizonas. I'm like, hold on. Ooh. My bad, I'm spilling. You know what I'm saying? I was like, hold on, man. How you gonna be charging $1.69? That's a 55% markup. I'm like, the best part about the Arizonas was that they was what? 99 cents.
Cheers.
Here's to
Right.
you. Here's
Cheers.
to Deacon, everybody, man.
Appreciate
Some of
you.
that green tea.
Man,
I don't got
that's
nothing
good.
to drink, but
I don't know if you like that, but that's some good
Oh
stuff.
yeah, man, I'm on the Atkins real tough right now. I just got started, so that's kicking in righteous.
And that helps out with that.
you got some Ackright juice in there too?
No sir, nah, I haven't gone that
No
right yet.
Ackright juice, huh?
I haven't gone that right with the do it fluid yet, you know. But, you know, some of the act right
Yeah.
juice, you know.
Oh my God, y'all are crazy, y'all. All right,
Hey.
so RIPs. Take this one, Jay.
All right, so man, a couple influential people passed away recently, man. Past couple, well, we'll talk about MF Doom in a minute on that situation because West, my producer, our producer was saying something about how he heard they wouldn't release the body or something was really weird. But you may know a little more about it. But rest in peace to Paul Westfall. First off,
Dang, he passed too?
yeah, man, brain
Couple days ago.
brain cancer, a couple days ago, man. So.
He passed on New Year's Day, I believe.
Yeah, Paul Westfall, Hall of Famer. Man, I didn't even know he played for Boston. Like, that's how asleep I was. He got a championship with Boston in '74.
I thought it
You're
was
right,
Phoenix and New York.
He did play for Phoenix in New York, but he got a championship with Boston, the Celtics, in '74.
So he went the Gary Payton route. Was old, hopped on a team, got a ring, and bounced.
No, his original team was.
He
He played with the Celtics, got his ring,
You know,
and
I'm
then
surprised.
he went to Phoenix.
I'm surprised you let me disrespect Gary Payton that badly and didn't say anything.
Oh man, don't.
Oh, I caught the shade.
Yeah, man, don't worry about GP, man. We good here. That's one of the best point guards
Hey.
to ever do it.
This is the first episode you haven't said your punchline.
Oh man, well I'm getting ready to get to Paul Westfall. He coached the Sonics. Hence, bring back our Sonics, Deacon. Tell these fools bring back our Sonics.
Oh yeah.
You know. So
They missing out on a lot of culture.
yeah, man. So he played. I'm not sure what year, but he must have played with Dennis. He played with Dennis Williams and Gus Williams, and Dennis Johnson, Gus Williams, Sigma. He played on a squad with them for 1 year. But I really remember Paul Westfall playing for the Sonics, so he must have had a nice little impact. Then he played for Phoenix, so Phoenix is the ones that are really honoring him right now. And then he coached Phoenix to that '93 championship. So, and I got to see Deacon. Man, I remember seeing you at a couple games too when he was coaching. I remember that's when KD was there. He was coaching him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had
Yep.
Rashard Lewis.
Talk about a killer. Rashard
Yeah.
Lewis was one of the most underrated basketball players of my generation.
What I liked about Paul Westfall, though, man, that cat played as rookies. Like, he threw Rashard Lewis right in the mix, man. And as much as I love George Karl and what he did for the squad and for our area, he wouldn't like that with rookies, man. You know what I'm saying? So I always shouted Westfall out for playing as rookies like that, man. So that squad had Ray Allen on it. So, anyways, rest in peace
Yeah,
to
when
Paul
they play their rookies like that, they're taking chances because management and ownership don't. You know, if they pour money into players, they expect them to play. So, you know, coach, that's why Nate McMillan got fired and continues to get fired because he'll just play who he thinks should play. And I'm like, well, they're winning.
Yeah.
And he gets fired, and it's just like, well, because they're not playing. They're not playing who he wants them to
Wait,
play.
no.
Definitely going to talk about that.
Thank you for finally having someone explain to me why Nate McMillan got fired. Because to this day, I didn't understand. He brought the Pacers to what? 3-4 straight playoffs. Almost beat LeBron. Who I know everyone here's a LeBron fan.
And he's two of their best players down every playoffs. He's
First-
down Sabonis.
First of all, can I mention something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Their third best player right now is going to miss most of the season again. T.J. Warren. They're injured. That team is never healthy. So you can't blame that on the coach. That's just health.
Right. I agree. Can we talk about also, so we talked about the Knicks' success. Can we talk about Fizz laying that foundation for that team?
That's another point.
Will he get that credit? And the answer is no.
We'll get into that.
We're going to pump our brakes on that. I'm glad. Keep that thought.
Yeah.
Keep that thought. That'll come in later, but no.
You got all them pencils.
Oh, you know I'm coming in.
I got all those
Jot a
pencils.
couple notes down. So first of all, this is, let's give a rest in peace to Paul Westfall.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, right. I don't want to disrespect Paul like that.
No, you know, you're like me. We be jumping all over the place. Like, you know how it goes. But the next one we're going to talk about is MF Doom. And I got some of their albums up here right now, as a matter of fact. But when we first heard MF Doom, Deacon, before he was Doom, he was Zev Love X.
Zeb Love X, yeah, Zeb Love X. Gas face versus
Yeah. The gas face. Give him the gas face,
Peach
Dave.
Fuzz.
Yeah, give him a gas face, Dave.
What do we think about Hammer?
Be careful. Yeah, we gotta be careful saying that about Hammer.
Y'all cats are
Hammer will
crazy,
jump through
Y'all
our
are
podcast and
crazy,
beat all
man.
of them. Stories about
We've
Hammer.
lost order in Studio G, man. We've lost order here in Studio G. Order needs to be restored, man.
Hey, we gotta be careful talking about Hammer. Hey, no disrespect, Hammer, because word on the streets is, man, you are a real gangster.
Hammer's a real one.
Yes. So, you wasn't a fan of the music after Let's Get It Started, when you went to that other stuff, but Hammer, no disrespect. Bro.
By Hammer you mean, wait, by Hammer you mean MC
Hammer.
MC Hammer. That's what I thought.
So MF Doom, so he was called Zeb Love X because Roman needs a tutorial, and he was, he was, Third Base brought those guys out originally. They're the ones that kind of gave them their platform.
Yeah.
And Third Base.
Yeah, and then he had Operation Doomsday, which is a classic album. You had Food, which is a classic album.
Well, before that happened, though, right? You mentioned Peach Fuzz. So after they came out with the album, after they came out on Gas Face and were kind of featured on that Third Base album with the cactus on it, that album had some heat.
That was that KMD.
Yes, Causing Much Damage, right?
Yeah.
I got the album, right? You know me, I got the CD right here, Deacon. You know what I'm saying?
By the way,
I know you do.
A quick note, and I think
I know you do.
I have never seen a human being, yet alone a coach, with as many CDs as this dude has.
Oh, man.
I have never seen a human being with as many CDs. I think if there's an artist between 1980 and 2020, he has a CD.
Yeah, he got it.
Yeah, there's some
right.
people, there's some people though, man. I've been on, I'm in some groups, and I'm like, you guys, I can't even. They're still out here buying them like that, and I'm like, man. But so, Causing Much Damage was their first little album that came out after that Cactus album. That was kind of, it did okay. It had Peach Fuzz on there. And then the interesting.
It wasn't full of bangers.
No.
But it had the ones that were dope.
Yes, sir. So then they were on Elektra Records, man. This first album though, they were on. See, yeah, MC Search was and Prime Minister Pete Nice were on the production, but they were, I forget what label they were with. Oh, they were with Elektra. So they were at Elektra, right? So then they come out with their second album. This is interesting about what we're talking about in regards to just the different stuff with human rights and all that different stuff. Their second album was called Black Bastards. They were never ever able to drop this. I found this late in life because they would not let them release it because of the album cover. See how it's got a little black Sambo on it? And he's being hung? But that's interesting because do we give props to Elektra, Dave, for saying, well, you can't have that album cover? They did that was way back. I mean, that was early 90s, man, when they tried to drop this. And Elektra was like, we're not doing that with the album cover. So how do we'll get through this, but I mean, that's an interesting piece, man, because they were, back then, this was offensive. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, it's been offensive.
I don't know. I remember, the funny thing you bring that up is I remember it vividly now, but I don't remember what the content was on the album.
They dropped them from the label, man. They dropped them. But that album cover, I remember, was like a big deal. And I was like, dang, they're not going to come out with their second album?
I think that speaks to our current climate as well, though. I mean, you have a big company or a big label that doesn't want to touch race. And like I said earlier, why is it because we've been taught from a perspective that's absolved of any guilt. It's like, no, wait, hold on. Everything that has happened has been oppressive in nature and really intentional and honestly evil. And so by doing that album, I think that they were like calling out, like, hey, this is how we feel as artists. And I don't think the label was trying to hear that.
Yeah, not back then. But what's interesting, though, is later on, one of my favorite duos in my top 5, Little Brother, they had the Minstrel Show. And they're on the album cover showing their teeth. The whole album was a spin-off of running the Minstrel Show. And their label kind of ran with it. But anyways, MF Doom. So started off with the KMD, right?
I got that.
So then his brother died. What was his brother's name? Because there was
I forget his name, but that was a big part of his artistry. That was a big piece of how how he rebounded from that. That was a big piece.
Yeah, man. And then so after that, like his brother died, he just kind of went underground, like literally underground,
Yeah.
man. He was in a state of depression, man.
Yeah.
He and his brother were best friends, and he came up with this persona, MF Doom.
MF Doom.
You know, and it's basically off the it is off.
He always wore that mask. Right?
Yes. He
Yeah,
always
yeah.
So you never saw
I don't even know
his
what they
face.
look like.
Wait,
No.
so even when he was in the group, he always had the mask on.
Yes.
So-
No.
No, not with KMD.
Not
No.
KMD.
So you knew what he looked like when he was on K.
Yeah, but then he kind of gained some weight, and he, like I said, he went underground. You know what I mean? Like he left, and so then all of a
Yeah.
sudden he started coming out with this persona, this MF Doom deal,
Right.
and
Okay, so that makes sense. But
Yeah.
So then my
And
question,
dropping heat.
dropping
So-
heat.
So my question,
Abstract.
So my question to both of you is this, and this kind of touches on what Wes said, and then we'll kind of move on.
Mhm.
And my last question on you is this: I saw somewhere that he technically died on Halloween, October 31st. They
Yeah.
pronounced him dead like December 31st, 2 whole months later. How does that happen?
What was that about, Wes? Now, did you hear anything about that, Deacon?
Yeah. I heard, from what I understand, the same thing is that he died on Halloween, and we just found out on October. I'm sorry, we just found out New Year's Eve, and so like, or the day before, I don't know, I forget. But yeah, there was a lag there, and I heard it was something with the body. I don't know exactly what, but yeah, that's funny style though.
Yeah, but knowing that cat, who knows what
It's on brand.
who knows what he wants, who he.
It's on brand
Yeah. Yeah.
for 2020 and for MF Doom's career. But I feel like he ushered in a genre of music that at that time we were on message boards and stuff like that online on the internet, and boxden.com, and if anyone was on those at the time, Merc, MIRC chat rooms, and he was dominant in those places. And if anyone wants something to compare that to, it's like Reddit. So like that would be the Reddit of that time, where you have kind of the off, just kind of underground chat room type stuff. And like I said, Operation Doomsday is a classic. Food was a classic. Mad Villain, when he linked up with Madlib, that was a classic. Like there's a lot. In Dilla, honestly, I feel like was inspired by MF Doom and Madlib and the work that they were doing to me.
Yes, absolutely.
And vice versa.
Yes.
Like they all, just they're all one and the same to me.
I agree.
As far as the genius behind their music.
I agree. And MF Doom, I mean, a lot of people don't know is he had another. He went by Victor. What was it? I have all kinds of
Victor Vaughn.
Victor Vaughn.
And then you had Scissorface.
Yeah.
Like he had all kinds of different personalities and personas. I didn't mess with Scissorface as much, but
I messed with Victor Vaughn because those are all those instrumentals, man.
Victor Vaughn was dope.
Yeah, he put beats out, so he also made beats. So that's MF Doom. So
just
we
an
lost-
all-around music, like multiple personality.
Yes, we lost a hip hop icon with him. And you know what's crazy is I couldn't.
Yeah, you're
I
talking about the '90s. Like he's been doing this for so long. Like he's a fixture and a staple. And let's be honest, like he had a classic record in rock, Cocaine Flow, off of De La Soul's Grande. Like that's the last record I point to when I'm like, he's still here. Like that was the best, to me, the best song on the album, and it was produced by Jake One.
Yeah, that had heat on it. So, man, and he's a funny dude, man. I'm about to go back to him because I didn't listen. I'm not gonna say he wasn't on repeat with me. You know what I mean? But man, he had
not for me either.
And there was an era where I was really on him real tough, and whenever he dropped, I was always like, let me check that out.
Yeah.
I
was in an argument with people. I was debating with people like probably 3 years ago about where he fell on because people that love him think he's the best ever, and I'm like, whoa, hold up, he ain't the best.
Right.
Like Doom is top 5. I was like, man, come on, and we would argue about it.
Right,
but
that's like me arguing about 40. You know what I mean? So I get it.
Right.
Which we'll get into on one. Listen, the episode where we discuss greatest rapper of all time, you either need to be there on Zoom or you need to listen because there will be feathers that will be ruffled.
Deacon said he'll be a regular guest on here. So
Perfect. So we will be there for that episode.
He'll check us out on a regular basis. So I'm not.
Yeah, I'm always down, man. I'm always down.
All right. Next topic.
Rest in peace, MF Doom.
Rest in peace, MF Doom.
Now you got your full meal deal. You got your story. You understand?
I got you. I understand.
You might need to jump into a couple of his joints.
I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in.
All right.
Next topic. Now, before we get into probably the highlight topic of the day, in my opinion. One of the next topic is Reebok. So when we were getting together,
One of my favorite lines.
so Jay and I, whether it's over FaceTime or in person, we always have a conversation at some point during the week about what we're going to talk about on the show.
Yeah.
And I came over Wednesday, and right as I come over, we see that Reebok is being bought by Master P and BD, who is one of the coldest point guards ever.
Baron Davis,
and they're buying it for $2 billion. So I'm gonna let you hop in, and then Dave. I want to hear your guys' opinion on this, and I know that you're itching to say something, so I'll let you go.
For one, Reebok is always been. You know me, Dave. Reebok has always been. I remember that's all I rocked. I remember I wouldn't rock Nike.
You're the biggest Reebok fan I know, bro.
Man, I used to rock Reeboks on a regular basis. I remember I had every single pair of Iversons.
Did.
All the colors, different toes. So I'm a big Reebok guy, but man, they just.
Do you think
I don't want to say they fell off.
Hold
but
up.
man, okay.
Hold on.
Keep going.
I don't want to say that Reebok fell off, but they just had a moment where it was kind of like they couldn't. I don't want to say they couldn't keep up, but they just couldn't. I don't know, but they kind of lost their footing a little bit. And then there you go.
So basically, hold on. So the point you're getting to, and this is my question: will this be the rebirth of Reebok?
Well, before you go, Deacon, my point about Reebok, the situation with
I need
Reebok
me a pair of those shoes.
we
right
don't
there.
know for sure Baron Davis and Master P are buying them. It's been rumored that they're in negotiations, so I'm assuming if those brothers got a couple $1 billion like that, hey, salute. You know what I'm saying? I think they're probably doing it the way I would do when I'd be like, Deacon, I'm about to buy Reebok. Man, can you go in on this with me? I'm assuming they got a lot of partners.
Yeah, they definitely have investors for sure. Yeah.
Right. So I hope that this is the case, because if it is, they will sign a ton of athletes. They'll dip into some of that Puma money. They'll mess with Puma and they'll mess with Nike just on the strength of who they are. You know what I mean? So, and if they do it right, go ahead.
I think they're bringing a lot of money money to the table, but what their investors understand is that, you need to give, and this is what I'm learning a lot about in the business I'm doing right now, even in owning my own business and acquisition of different offices and things like that, of how ownership works, and my minority stake and majority stake and all those kinds of things, and shares, and man, it's been eye-opening the last 3 years for me. I've learned a lot, but what's probably happening there, I'm just guessing, shoot from the hip. I haven't read up too much on it outside of just the actual news, but they probably have some investors, some investors that are maybe, they might have 40% stake in the business, or 30% or 20%, even at that number. I mean, but whoever they're investing understands that, Master P has a lot, he has a lot too, and whoever's willing to loan them the money too. Yes. I don't know how much of that is a loan to buy the business. Right. So I mean, there's a lot of different factors at play there behind the scenes that I don't know, but I know one thing, that whoever it is that is smart to have those two be the face of whatever that is. And I hope they have majority stake ownership. I don't know, we don't know those numbers, but so for example, Jay don't own Tidal. Jay's a minority owner of Tidal, I believe. Okay. I don't know if he's a majority owner of that thing, but we all look at Tidal as Hope, right?
Right.
So I mean, all that stuff in the background is all about, positioning and who can move this product the best, basically. All of that kind of stuff. Which
is a brilliant move with those two, because Baron Davis, he got his own production company, and he's trying to film movies, and so
them brothers are doing work, man. They're smart. Yeah. Smart businessmen. Master P, I was watching a video on him talking about how he has his new cereal, right? He got his new cereal.
Right.
And he was asking the young brothers in there, because they're kind of laughing. He's like, yo, I mean, so you going to buy the other off-brand cereal? You know how much money that off-brand is doing? And he went down the line, right? Fruit Loops, Cocoa Krispies, and he had all the off-brands for him, right? And then he looked them up, and how much numbers those off-brand things are doing. It's like, so why are you laughing at me for my cereal? You buying the off-brand over here, Malto-Meal, you know what I mean? You ain't laughing at them.
Right.
They on the shelves. Why can't I be on the shelf?
Right.
He's right. He's like, yeah, man. If I go to the thing and I see Master P, I'm gonna mess with Master P's stuff.
Yeah, that's easy.
Just
that's
because it's Master P.
And exactly. And when you talk about those cereals, I mean, I just started up a new diet, but man, I'm off-brand. That's what we grab the off-brands, we grab the fake whatever, because they taste just like them. So
It's the same
it's the
manufacturer.
same, right.
Kirkland brand, Safeway Select,
Word.
it's all coming from the same place. They just
Word.
if you go to the Nike employee store, here's a quick tip: buy Hurley clothes because man, the Hurley brand is dope. It's Nike. It's all coming from the same plant.
Gotcha.
It just has a different stitching name on it, and so it's always way cheaper, and it's just as it might be even more. It might be using the older clothing technology or fabric, but it's always like really robust and thick, and stitching is on point. I'm like, Hurley makes dope shit.
Yes, they do.
And I'm sitting there going, why is this so much cheaper? Oh, it doesn't have the swoosh on it. That's it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's in the employee store, so that must mean that they're making these at the same plant that they made that jacket right over there with the swoosh on it, but it's $200 more.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Good tip. All right. I think that's a good tip. You ready for the next section?
Yeah, we'll be going into the
So my kind of homework of the week was kind of looking at African American coaches or Latino coaches or managers for baseball, NBA, NFL, NCAA, and football and basketball. And then after that, we'll get into sort of not watching the NFL, but I'm sure you'll kind of touch up slightly on it when I mention some of the numbers in terms of the NFL for coaching. But so when I looked at, so first I started off with the NBA. So the NBA has 7 African American coaches. You got Lloyd Pierce in Atlanta. You got J.D. Bickerstaff in Cleveland. You got Dwayne Casey in Detroit. You got Steven Silas in Houston. You got Ty Lue in L.A. for the Clippers. You got Doc Rivers in Philly. You got Monty Williams in Phoenix. So out of 30 teams, you have 7 minority coaches. That's 23% of coaches in the league. However, the NBA is 79.5% black. So when you look at it, there's only a fraction in the NBA. Because there's only, so like a third, if you look at the ratio, there should be more. I'm not saying it should be 79% black coaches, but it shouldn't be 23.
No.
And then you got dudes like Nate McMillan not getting a chance, Fizdale not getting a chance, and the 2 names that I put down here that notable coaches that don't have a job, Fizdale, I should have put McMillan, but the big one, and this is who I think to this day who should be coaching the Knicks is Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson hasn't had a job. Mark Jackson would have been the perfect guy for the Knicks. He's played with the Knicks. He gets the system. Or even the Pacers. He played with the Pacers. He knows their system. Why are people, and everyone's saying, well, whatever happened in Golden State happened. Well, he built that Golden State team. He basically laid the groundwork for Steve Kerr.
Well, we see what's going on with them right now, and Steve Kerr got some hoopers on that team.
Yeah.
Let's not act like cats are acting like, oh, they're not that good. They got some ballers on that squad.
And by the way, remind me about that when we get into the LeBron piece, because I have a point about that.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to Dave about LeBron.
Me neither. I got stats and all sorts of stuff. I got all sorts of stuff for that.
Dave about LeBron.
Oh, well, first of all, and I'll quick side note, then I'll do this. Every LeBron hater that I know, I'm going to just send them this podcast and say, listen.
Oh, Dave will put you up on so much. Man, Dave, you understand, this is my dude right here, man.
I can tell. I can tell.
This is my dude
I get
right
it.
here.
Anyways, so that's the numbers for that. Now, it only gets worse as we go down the line. I'm going to say the NBA is the best in terms of diversity.
Right,
so
absolutely.
Then, next is baseball. Now, for those of you who don't know, baseball has 42% diversity. Most of the diversity being Latinos. There's not a lot of blacks in baseball.
Not
There's
anymore.
some.
Not
There's
like it
some.
Used to be.
First of all,
when I was growing up,
yeah,
it was
my
favorite.
my favorite baseball player of all time is Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, thank you.
Of all time. I'm a huge
Hometown.
Ken Griffey fan.
Hometown.
Huge Ken Griffey fan.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah, like, that's my guy. That's my favorite baseball player of all time is Ken Griffey Jr.
He's the best baseball player ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely in the top 5. Definitely.
Who's the best? It ain't Mike Trout.
No.
I would.
Even though Mike Trout's nice.
Yes.
I would say
saying,
Ken Griffey's top 5, but man, that's what
Hank Aaron could be put up there. Hank Aaron could be put up there.
I'm glad you asked that though, Dave.
I'd say Hank or Ken.
But I'm putting Ken Griffey in the top 5.
I'm putting Ken Griffey in the top 3.
Which leads
top
right
3.
into something that they're finally acknowledging now. I didn't realize this. Did you realize that the Negro Leagues are just now being acknowledged as like professional baseball players to a certain extent?
Yeah,
like,
actually, wait.
Yeah.
What did they say that deal was?
Yes. And by the way, just to reiterate his point, my 3 best baseball players of all time.
Yeah.
In no order,
Mm-hmm.
but in order at the same time. Ken Griffey, Jackie Robinson, and Hank Aaron. That's my first.
That's fair.
That's my first. But yes,
You're not gonna hear argument from me. I mean,
So there's a
A-Rod got to be in there somewhere
A-
in the top 10.
A-Rod.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
give him that.
He's top 10.
People
He's
just
top
don't like him for him, but
I
But,
think,
okay,
I think
but
he was,
time
I
out,
think
time
he was
out.
a better
Time
player
out, time
before the
out.
Peds. I
But
think
see,
he
but
was
that's
a
my
mu-
point.
He
Hold
was
on.
a much better
Hold
player
on.
before the Peds.
Hold on. If you put A-Rod in there, then people are going to argue you have to put Barry Bonds in there.
Well, Barry
I'll
Bonds
put
was
Barry
a
Bonds
much
in
better
there.
player.
But
before
Barry
the
Bonds
Peds.
had the Peds, though.
But
that
before
hurt his career.
It did, but let's talk about he was already Hall of Fame before
Yeah,
the
he was
Peds.
already
So
doing
he
that.
was stamped. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Him cheating or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call that didn't matter to me because he was go look at his stuff before his head got as
Hey, he
big
was
as that
hooping
TV.
since '86. He was already hooping by the time when he was taking Pet. I mean, he might. I don't know when he started or when.
Well,
but,
you could
yeah,
tell
he
by
was
that head
smacking all them
size.
home
That
runs.
head size, Dave. That head size is as big as that TV that you're on.
Yeah, it
right
got
now.
big.
But once that happened, once it's before his head size though, that Cap was a 40-40 dude. Guaranteed.
So let me ask you this:
year.
if you take Peds right now, are you gonna go break records?
Who,
No.
me? Hell no.
Yeah. Can you go hit a
I'm
baseball
going
better?
straight to strike out.
You know, like
Dave.
is Peds gonna make your eye-hand coordination better? Like I don't think so. Is Peds gonna make your jump
all
shot
it does
better?
is when you make contact with the bat
Yes.
stronger, and that's why people say that he's unofficially won the home run title. That it's still Hank Aaron's. Because
I can get behind that. I'm fine with that. My deal is he should be in the Hall of Fame because he had Hall of Fame numbers before he was getting his pen.
Right. Anyways,
That's all.
Anyways, we kind of sidetracked.
Yeah, sorry. It's easy.
My point
Yeah,
about
we-
baseball
we
is
did.
this: baseball has two African American managers, Dusty Baker and Dave Roberts,
Yeah,
and
Dusty
Dave
Baker.
Roberts is only 50% black.
I think Dusty Baker is gone.
No.
I think
Dusty Baker's
Did
the
they
new.
re-up him?
He's the new Astros manager.
Yes, but did they re-up him this year? Because we good?
Yeah, I believe they re-upped him. I think. But so then, if not, they only have one. But then here's the sad part for me. A lot of the good players now, besides the Mike Trouts, are a lot of Latino players, right? Latino players are starting to be the new.
Not even starting. That's been going on for the last
No, but what
20
I'm trying to
years.
say is like they're like starting to get a lot better, right? And the point I'm trying to make is that you got Alex Cora, Charlie Montoya, Dave Martinez, and Luis Rojas. 4. That's it. So you look back at that, 20% of the managers are from a diverse background in baseball. 20.
So we got 23% in the NBA, 20 in baseball.
Okay, and here's where it gets fun. Your sport that you don't watch, the NFL.
Yeah.
The NFL has 2 African American coaches, Anthony Lynn and Mike Tomlin, and and they have 2 interns.
Let's give Mike Tomlin his flowers while we're on here.
Yes.
Just as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
he's one of the best and
One of the
greatest
goats.
coaches ever to coach. Point blank. Period. So sorry, I just got
No.
it.
Anyways, and then I'll get to the point about you have two. So then you have 2 intern coaches with Raheem Morris and Romeo Crennel. So I did the percentages with counting those 2 and not counting those 2 because technically they're intern. They're not really head coaches. They didn't head coach the whole season, but it's interesting.
Is Cornell in Houston?
Cornell's in Houston and
Texas?
Raheem
Okay.
Morris is in Atlanta. And what's
Yes.
interesting to me is this.
We need Raheem Morris as
2
our defensive
teams.
coordinator for the Raiders.
Listen.
Sorry.
You and I can't talk about our Raiders or Cowboys because we're out. We're done.
Raheem Morris.
We're done.
Okay.
Point I'm trying to make is this. It's interesting how those 2 teams had 2 white head. Back to your point, had 2 white head coaches and 2 black assistant coaches.
Mhm.
And then look what happened. The white head coaches got fired. They both were past their time to get fired because I still don't know to this day how Bill O'Brien gets away with trading DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of chips
Yeah.
and kept his job as long as he did.
Yeah.
Because DeAndre Hopkins
Yeah.
is the best wide receiver in football. I don't want to hear the Devontae Adams talk. That's what I'm saying.
That's
I
a
know.
wrestling. We can debate that. That's another time. It's another time.
Anyways, that's my point.
But not taking that from Hops. Hops is the dude.
Yeah, anyways, so you got that, and then they got 2 Latino coaches in Ron Rivera, coaching Washington, and Brian Flores, coaching Miami. This amounts to a total of 6 coaches, or 4 if you don't count the 2 intern coaches, out of 32 teams. That makes it mean that there is, if you include the interns, 18.75% of coaches are minority, or 12.5 if you don't count the 2 interns, in a league that is 72.6% minorities. Let that sink in for a second.
This has been a hot topic for a while, and a lot of people get mad at Stephen A. because he be putting this.
No, respect to Steve. Listen, even though I'm going to go check my Instagram and I'm going to have 6 people DMing me the Stephen A. Smith hate on the Cowboys and that dumb black cowboy hat he wears with,
But
with
he's
that
just clowning.
Cuban in his mouth.
But he's just clowning.
Anyway,
you know.
but I respect Stephen A. Smith for that. And the other thing, the real issue behind all of this is, and I would give both of you guys time to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, besides the Jaguars owner, an owner in the NFL that is not white.
I don't know. You asking the wrong person, man. I already know the answer to that.
Yeah.
0. That's where the problem starts. And even GMs, like, there's no. So that's the problem with the NFL.
Well,
and I know that we
NBA,
and you'll get
baseball.
into that later, Dave. And I know you'll. But that's the issue with the NFL is there is 0 upper management people, and that's a part of the reason why I kind of vibe with the Raptors. There's 2 reasons why I vibe with the Raptors. One of the reasons is they have a diverse management team with Masai Ujiri. Credit where credit is due.
Well, and you know what? It's funny. We were just talking about the Washington football team recently, and
Talk about a racist owner, by the way.
Well,
I just want to throw that out there.
let's
Oh yeah.
you know, but he did slide in, and maybe he did it for quotas reasons or whatever to kind of take the heat off his back.
I
But
believe
he put a African American cat in there. I forget his name, but he put a cat in there, man. That's highly regarded.
But
Just recently.
Here's my point about Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Snyder, the owner of the Washington football team. I believe he did everything that he did, including the name change and hiring Rivera and everything. Pressure, so that he didn't have a Donald Sterling situation.
Right.
And just saying that name bothers me, saying the Donald Sterling situation, because that was a bad situation. That hurt the NBA's image for a little bit.
Also
The Donald
brought them
Sterling
together,
thing.
though. Also kind of put some things out there in the
It
forefront.
did. It also started the movement that is now. But what's interesting is Carolina had a similar situation,
Yes,
and
it
it didn't do anything.
That got swept under the rug.
Right, it didn't do anything to the NFL.
Yeah.
And again, I want to save that for the NFL talk, but that's that. But believe it or not, that was not the most surprising stat to me on this list.
All right.
The next one I have is college football. So here in college football, I'm gonna talk about the 65 Power 5 schools in college football. Of those 65 Power 5 schools, they have 10 black head coaches. 10.
Out of 65?
Out of 65. Power, so like the top, and you don't even need to look at percentages of players in college football that are black, because it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the good ones. By the way, shout out to Justin Fields on handing the business to Trevor Lawrence in Clemson.
Yeah.
Justin Fields for #1 pick.
That shot.
I'm starting that tonight.
They only played 6 games, so I was like...
Justin Fields handed the business to Clemson, and Dabo Sweeney had to eat his words for saying that they were the 11th best team in the country.
Yeah, he was tripping with that, but I felt where he was coming from to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But it should have been about they ain't played enough
No.
games.
But anyways, so there's that. But here's the most surprising stat to me, and I really went in on this. There's 14 black head coaches of the major 75 programs in college basketball in the major 6 conferences. So that's 18.7%. Of the 353 schools that play Division I basketball, only 29.2% of head coaches are black. That number drops to 24.1 when you take away HBCUs.
Ooh.
That's crazy.
And listen to this. It gets worse. The Pac-12 doesn't have a single black coach, and Juwan Howard's hiring at Michigan was the first time a black man had been hired by the Big Ten since 2007.
Ooh.
And it gets worse. For the record, almost 80% of major conference scholarship players for basketball are black. The numbers are even more depressing when you break down another level of the 355 schools that play Division I basketball. Yeah, so they have that thing about the 29.2%. But the part about taking out the HBCUs is bad. And for those that are wondering if the coaching talent is there, the answer is yes. At those same 351 Division I programs, 50% of the assistant head coaches are black.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, was the most shocking stat of it all. And I'm going to let you guys discuss this before we move on to the next topic. Go ahead.
First of all,
Actually, one more thing. Sorry.
Okay, no, you're good.
So, when you look at the assistant coach thing, 50%, that's your perfect 50-50 split right there. Why is that just like that for assistant head coaches? That's my opinion. But go ahead.
Do you have numbers on how many black athletes are in those programs?
No, I just have the fact that it's just 80%
in terms of Division One in general. I didn't have them in those programs, but a lot of those programs are like
Are predominantly black. I mean, if you're at the top
Well,
of the
because if you
board,
look at it,
predominantly
like very few top schools outside of a Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
I got a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
For Gonzaga.
Outside of a
You
Gonzaga,
got a
who by
bunch of
the
smoke.
way,
You've been-
is
watching
number
it
one in the
there.
nation right now. Outside of a Gonzaga, you
And,
rarely
that,
see.
and here's some numbers for you. In '97, their roster was 33% black, and now it's 52% black.
Gonzaga.
But their demographic at their school is 1.7% black.
But
right
the point
now,
about
currently.
Gonzaga, right? But my point about Gonzaga is this: Gonzaga might be the only team that you see that can consistently put 5 white dudes on the court at the same time. For the most part.
Yeah, yes, they can. However, they're 52% black when they used to be literally, like my next door neighbor was one of the first black athletes to be in that basketball program. And so we've gone back and forth and had some really intense conversations about my comments because he was recruited by Mark Few. And he loves Few. And Few's a good dude. Or, I mean, as far as I know. Like,
Now, isn't that
I don't
close
know
to where you
personally.
guys are from? Isn't Gonzaga right in the...
No, that's a ways away from us.
Spokane.
This is Spokane.
But it's still Washington. It's still Washington.
Where Gonzaga is, there's a lot of things going on there. So
Now, a lot of bad things or good things?
it's the second biggest city in Washington. The Spokane County is Trump country. There's only 2% black people over in that area. There's no black people over there.
And
So it's it has
And
a
they
city,
border Idaho.
and then it has a rural area. So it's Red County over there. The city voted for Biden within city limits, but in Spokane County, they voted for Trump, and then locally for the governor, they voted Colt. So here's my issue. My issue is they only have 1.7% black kids at the school, and they have increasingly become blacker. You cannot. They're Duke now. You know how big Duke is?
Yeah.
They're basically the new Duke.
Well, because
You
they've been
can't
number one
buy
every
a
year.
ticket
They've
to
been
go to a
number one
game
every
there
year.
if you wanted to.
And
They,
you know
they
what's
might,
interesting?
they might be bigger than Duke.
Well,
Deacon,
no, what-
because sorry, I'm just trying to cut you guys off. They may be bigger than Duke right now in a certain sense because for like 2 or 3 years, my family and Jalen, my oldest son, and my family, we went out there 2 years in a row he did a Duke basketball camp, and we went out the next year and they played in Virginia and played a AAU championship type deal, right? But when you go to Duke, man, I mean, there's Duke, and then 5 minutes up the street
Yeah, they
is
got-
Carolina.
yeah.
And Wake Forest, all that stuff's kind of like a hotbed.
In that area, yes, they are bigger than Duke because they
Yes.
are treated like NBA players.
Right.
And I know that going to
But
games.
my
would
point
be-
about your connection to Duke is the one thing that they're lacking that doesn't make them the Duke is,
Diversity.
okay, 2 things. But this part kind of goes with diversity is this. Tell me a I'm not even going to go 5, top 10 high school basketball recruit that has signed to go to Gonzaga. In the
Jalen
past.
Suggs.
But that's it. In the past couple
Yeah.
years, none of the big names want to go to Gonzaga. Because
That's
of
going to
probably the
change.
point that you're making.
Well,
That's good for you to know, Dave.
What's that?
That's good information for you to know.
Well,
Say
because-
that again. You said a lot of.
like if you look at a lot of the big name high school athletes, like for example, a perfect example is your guy, Malachi, right?
Malachi Flint. That's Deacon's dude.
Listen,
Deacon knows.
Malachi's going to be a star.
Listen, Malachi was from Washington. I'm sure if he could have maybe had a potential to go to Gonzaga, but I'm sure he didn't choose them. He could have gone Washington. Like all I'm trying to say is a lot of big name people don't go to Washington. That's all.
Go to Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. Sorry.
No, I agree with that. They find they're where they butter their bread is internationally.
I agree because
so
they had Markkinen, right?
Was that?
They had Larry Markkinen, right? No, he was Arizona. Who was the international
Yeah,
guy?
he was Arizona. Yeah, he was Arizona.
who was
But
the
they
international
do
guy?
have they had Sabonis.
Yeah.
But
It's a bonus. That's what it was.
Tommy Lloyd does a great job recruiting. He has the international game locked down. There's no other college in college basketball that has the international game locked down like Tommy Lloyd, the assistant, does there.
And I
They
mean,
do
the
a great
international game
job.
is budding. The international game is budding. There's some great international players up and coming.
Yeah, they do a great job. But here's my problem with them, and we'll get back to the topic of black coaches. But my thing with them is they've been really not silent, but they haven't said much on the Black Lives Matter movement. While their roster has gotten 19% black over the time. And when I go over there to shoot, like I'm anywhere I go in the city, I'm wearing my San Diego stuff. Everyone asks me, "What are you here for?" "Oh, you're going to the game? What?" And then when I tell them where I sat, they're like, they like want me to sign autographs. I'm like, all I did was, I play pretty cool. I'm like, I'm over here just watching with my friend. You know, my friend's the head coach at San Diego, and they go there every year. I go to Spokane.
San Diego State?
University of San Diego,
Okay.
right up the street. But so yeah, man. And so I go to Spokane every year to watch the game, and I'm like, man, this is fever pitch over here. You couldn't even buy a ticket if you tried. And so I just have a lot of questions about where they've stood this year. Their silence is complicity, in my opinion, and I need to see more because they released a statement, as did a lot of people in brands and companies, that said that they were going to do more regionally, and I'm speaking verbatim here from Mark Few's letter. Regionally, they're going to do more. I was like, okay, well, now you have the biggest platform you ever could have. So now this is when I expect you to, you're a Nike school. Nike has Black Lives Matter things. The Stanford women's team just wore them. USD's put a lot of stuff with black voices up on their page. There's other people in your league doing a lot and standing with them. I'm not seeing that from your program despite making millions off of black bodies. And your school population is only 1.7% black bodies. And they just got Zoom bombed by racism. So on campus, yeah, y'all might be good, but you ain't influencing the region, and you have an opportunity to, and that's what leadership really is. So are you just a basketball coach, or are you an actual leader, like we all think you are? And what I'm finding this year in 2020, we got a lot of people that ain't leaders.
Oh yeah, it's been that way. You got a lot of people that like to sit back. That isn't. I mean, just.
So you're gonna be the leader, get out the way, and that's what I'm like. I'm leading then.
Yeah.
I'm about to get up out front then.
Right, and I see it, man. I see you. You sparring. I see you sparring and on Twitter and different people. You got a couple people. Their feathers are real ruffled. You know what I mean? And it's just like, look, man, I'm not.
Yeah, so did I lie about anything in what I just said though? I didn't lie. I'm asking a question.
Well,
it's a valid one.
They like to. I saw someone say you're an instigator. You're a troll, and it's like, nah, you're just keeping it real. Like you just got questions to ask. So
yeah.
Anyways,
so the black coach thing though is real. So I want to add a little bit to that too. Yeah. So in Tacoma here, for boys basketball, in the 5 comprehensive high schools, we have Wilson, Mount Tahoma, Lincoln, Stadium, and Foss. And then we have Bellarmine, which is a private school. That's where Avery Bradley came from, Abdul Gaddy, Malachi Flynn.
Malachi went to
so we have a lot of hoop talent here, right? I am the second black boys basketball head coach in the history of Tacoma's 5 comprehensive schools. After, when did I get hired? So Owen Chambers was the first in like 2000. I mean, we've had schools open since 1908. So since then though, since Owen, myself, we've had now Josh concurrently right now, Josh Barsh, Charles Simmons. There's a dude, Jason MLT, that was a black dude. Shoot. You now have more black head coaches within the comprehensive 5 high schools in Tacoma, which is needed because we're an inner city school. We have a lot of black athletes.
Right.
So, I didn't know that about myself. I didn't know that I was the second one. I was like, you mean for Tacoma, the second? And I asked everybody because I don't know. And I'm asking everybody. I don't have any answers yet, still. So I guess I'll take that moniker. And here's another one, and this is more about business. In Windermere Real Estate, which is one of the top real estate companies in the nation, right?
Yeah.
We're mostly West Coast, but it's family owned. I'm the first black owner they've ever had. They've been open since 1973. That's wild.
Yeah, I'm glad you're touching on that.
I didn't know that
a little bit. Yeah.
I do have a question for him later on that.
Well, and Dave, what's funny with us is like we like to keep up with this, and for our audience, we're not talking about this to just to just be talking about it. We're talking about it because it's what's going on, and there's a reason behind
Jay,
it.
I have a question for you.
Right.
So, you head coach at Duke.
Yeah.
You were assistant at Cape, and one thing I respect, by the way, shout out Coach Filio. You must be happy that your Giants won. When you come on the show, you're not allowed to talk about your Giants because I'm still salty. But anyways, shout out to him for always having diversity on his coaching squad. Always.
Yes.
Because in Maine, that's something you don't find. You don't find a lot of diversity on football teams, on basketball teams, on any team at all. It's a lot of white coaches. And people can't say, Maine doesn't have a lot of diversity. Up north, no, but in the Portland area, you do.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you don't have a
And
lot
it's
of that.
growing.
Exactly, but you don't have a lot of that. You don't have a lot of those coaches that are stepping up and being head coaches when they can be.
You gotta, Deacon, you gotta come out here and check it out, man. So you can just get a little vibe next time you and the lady
Yeah.
come out, man. You go do the map. You go to Massachusetts or whatever. Come up here and stay with us for a couple of days, and
Yeah.
we'll take you all around, man. But he's right. Like, so I'm not the first black head coach here. There's been some legends, but few and far between. You know what I mean?
Who's probably the most legendary of all?
I forget his name, but he was speaking at one of the Black Lives Matters marches that we had this year, and I've met him and we've talked. But there's not many of us, man. There's a handful. They've done I won't say they've done better recently. Would you say so, Wes? Like some younger coaches that have been in black head football coaches, but Maine is not Washington State, and for that to hear that Tacoma numbers that's startling to me. Here I get it. Here I get it.
Well,
There's just not a lot
I get
of
it, but
us.
I don't get it in the Portland area. That's my point about that.
Right. Well,
I think the Portland area is getting closer to being able to not have that as an excuse anymore.
Yes, but you also got to look at the amount of black head coaches you have. A lot of the black head coaches that are available, coaches that are coaching that want to do it.
There's plenty available.
See, here
This is the
not
same,
many available.
but it's the same. It's the same thing for professional sports as it is for local and state municipalities or districts where they have to hire people. Whoever is usually hiring is going to hire someone that they're comfortable with, and most times that's someone within their race.
Yes.
I mean, or that speaks the same way they do, or thinks the same way they do,
Absolutely.
or because at the end of the day, their dollars are on the line. So as a business owner, I understand that. As someone who understands our history and context, I understand that we need to do things to make ourselves uncomfortable because we might learn something new.
Absolutely.
So,
I get that.
yeah, so the owners, you make a good point about the owners, Roman, about they're all white, and so therefore they're gonna hire general managers that think and act like them because they're in charge of their franchise.
Quick thing I'll kind of say to wrap this all up.
Yeah.
It kind of has to go with the whole diversity thing, but also just I need 2 minutes to rant regarding NFL coaches.
Hold that thought,
Okay,
please.
that's
I don't
okay,
want
you
to
go
cut you
first.
because if you're gonna rant, let me
Get
this
your
in.
thing in
And
first.
then we'll slide up out of here. So I just want to shout out the Rooney family. I'm a Raiders guy, and I love the Raiders no matter what, even though they're.
He wants to rant, but
the Rooney organization, the Steelers organization, to me is the best organization in football, hands down. And
Yeah, absolutely.
just for the fact that they've had 3 head football coaches in their whole span there. The way that they've done and treated, Tomlin has been unbelievable. I can't think of how many different organizations would have already let that guy go, despite him having winning records and seasons every year. Like
the Cowboys would have been the first.
The fact that they've held on to him, a lot of other organizations would have let him go. And they're the ones that invented the Rooney Rule. So that's what's funny. But my old head coach, we're talking about Filio, who I'm still very tight with. He's like my mentor out here, and he coaches at our local high school, and that's who I got on through. We always used to run around saying, "Man, you got that Rooney Rule rolling," because he had black dudes on staff. You know what I'm saying? And and not to say that out here in Maine that there hasn't been plenty of coaches that haven't wanted me on staff or that haven't rubbed elbows with me. There are plenty, so I'm not going to sit out here and say that's the case out here. At least not in this area. But the Rooneys, they're the ones that started it, man. They're the main ones that are willing to get uncomfortable and talk about it and be like, "Hey, man, you got to have people that look like these players that have been playing, applying."
So that's the Rooney Rule. They're the name because I didn't know what that name was.
Yes, Art Rooney. May he rest in peace. He is the one that made a stink about it and was like, "Hey, man, when it got brought up, he was like, you're 100% correct. This is the issue." So now a certain amount of minority coaches have to be interviewed. Despite all the corners they still cut to not follow the Rooney rules. Because that still goes on big time.
That's what's wild. White supremacy is so vast and so powerful that we have to make rules just to hire, or no, not to hire, to interview a black candidate.
Right. And so, kind of segueing perfectly into my point is this. So, two things of many that bother me about the Cowboys, and I'll I'm going to hold myself to 2. And they both involve, the owner is, all Jerry Jones does is hire yes men. Because that's basically what Mike McCarthy is.
You talk about this all the time, Dave.
And 2 is, I don't think, because like, for example, two years ago, the year when they made the playoffs, they had that defensive run. Chris Richard, their defensive coordinator, had was leading the defense and everything, and he wasn't even the defensive coordinator, he was the linebackers coach. And everyone's like, he needs to get a job. I don't even know if Jerry Jones interviewed him, and if he did, it was just a base level interview, and then he passed up on him.
That's how they do it.
That's the type of coach right there that the Cowboys should have. Or you should have gone out and got a Romeo Crennel. Romeo Crennel's a fine coach. Or I was always a Lovie Smith fan, and I believe Lovie Smith always got done dirty in the NFL. So there's so many points to that. And I'm going to leave it at that, because I want to get into the next topic. But I just think that that's 2 of many things. And again, I could sit here, we could be here till 6 on just going off about my Cowboys. So I'm not going to give you guys the pain or torture of that. But it really is bad. And I think that it's borderline one of those organizations that I'm not going to say racist, but could be borderline on that topic.
No, it's racist. The NFL's racist, the NBA's racist, America's racist at its core.
Well,
every policy
the NBA is the least of the 3. Let me just throw it that way. The NBA is doing the best job to try
You've been saying it a long time. The NBA definitely does a job.
But anyway, so the last thing I want to get on the coaches, and then we got to hop into the next topic, is...
Please, are you going to talk about the females?
Yes, that's what I'm getting to right now. So, in NCAA women's basketball, you got 63% of the head coaches are females, which is pretty good, but it should be more. And shout out to Baylor. Baylor, I can't remember what the name of I think it's McGraw, Coach McGraw, for the Baylor women's team.
Did she recently? She didn't retire, did she?
No, she's the one that she said in an interview. She said, for my women's basketball team, she said, I don't hire any men at all. Like assistants.
As it should be. You're coaching women.
She says it's an all-woman squad. And the one thing, and no disrespect at all to Gino.
Mm-hmm.
None. Because you cannot disrespect Gino for what he's done at UConn. But the one thing I hold against UConn is you're such a great organization. Why can't you have a woman's head coach on that team? And I understand that Gino's great. And I don't want people to think I'm coming at Gino because I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like the greatest organizations for women deserve to have women's coaches. And then you got the WNBA where the WNBA doesn't get enough respect. It is a great league. Personally, I think the WNBA is a great league, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of people, and the whole Becky Hammond thing that happened in the NBA where Pop got ejected, first of all, Pop.
Love Pop.
Shout out Pop. Shout out Pop. And when he gets mad, it's funny to me, because he just gets mad about, like, he's just a funny dude, man, when he gets mad. But anyways, there was a lot of mixed emotions about, if you just look at the comments when Becky Hammond came through and started coaching. And this is what I like about Instagram, is I just sit there and look at the ignorant comments.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are saying, stick to your own sport, being women's basketball and all this. And the list goes on and on, and people are like, well, you don't understand it if you don't play the sport. It's different. Women can't coach men. That's a big thing that I've kind of seen. And I disagree with that personally. Basketball was basketball. That's my opinion on it.
You said a number, so you said of the NCAA coaches, 60% are women in women's basketball?
63% in women's basketball. I think it should be a little higher.
And we deduce that 100% of the women in women's basketball are women, right?
Yeah,
so they have
exactly.
60%, 100. I don't know how many black players there are in NCAA basketball, but I imagine it's not predominantly, but I would imagine there's a lot of black players if we're talking about the top 100.
And by the way, my fault, I didn't look up black women coaches, but I'm sure that it's few.
We could save that topic too for another.
I guess the point I'm making is the anti-black sentiment.
Right.
So if we're willing, so this is nuanced and hella. There's stuff. This is what I think about when I'm thinking about. You say that's what I latched onto. As you were talking, I was just stuck to that number, and I was thinking about something about men coaching women versus women coaching men. So you have a lot of dynamics at play there with the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
So when men are coaching women, there is an element of patriarchy, and there's an element that we are perpetuating by doing that. And so when men do coach women, I hope that they do so and they're well educated on what patriarchy is and how and their role in it. I am very aware of my role in patriarchy, so I could go coach women and be able to do that without taking advantage of them, without manipulating them, because we do it naturally. It's kind of
No, and I get you. And again, I wasn't saying that men can't coach women. I was just approaching to like the numbers of like how like women coaches don't even get enough opportunities in their own field. That's what
I know, and that's patriarchy playing out in rare form. But but my point is, it's even worse for black people than for women.
And I agree with you 100%. But
my point is like that's white supremacy. So everything that we hear is geared towards white supremacy. Like, and by that I mean, there's one race that's in
charge.
Right.
Or there's one race that's inferior,
right?
Or whatever.
And I'm not going to.
Or ethnicity, not even race, because race is a man-made construct.
I was about to say that ethnicity, and I'm not going to get into it in big detail. But I've had situations in my life before where people, I think you know this, but I know you don't. Mm-hmm. So I'm half Spanish and half Portuguese.
Yeah.
Spain, Spanish, and Portuguese, and I'm a little darker skinned than other white people.
Mm-hmm.
I got that olive skin.
I can tell you're not white.
Right.
Like, I can look at you.
Yeah.
You're not white.
Right.
Exactly. And a lot of people, first of all, classified me in the white category before. There's either been the extreme of that, or they've viewed me as a minority, as what they call minority, and treated me as the minority.
Right.
But the thing is like, but then a lot of, back to white supremacy thing is people see two colors in white supremacy. They see white or black. So if you're not dark skinned, like I'm not dark skinned, but I'm darker skinned, they're being like, oh, like you're not black, you're white. I'm like, but I'm not. I'm in the middle.
Right.
But to them, there's no gray area. For example, there's just one or the other. So I obviously can't relate to what you like what you're talking about, but I see your point about ethnicity, and I was going to touch on that. Is that even different ethnicities, you kind of get like people that are like kind of shaky about that, and I've had experiences with that in sports teams and in the workplace. And I don't want to get into too many personal stories because I don't have the time.
Right.
I don't feel like calling people out right now.
Deacon, this won't be the last time you're on this show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my whole deal is when we first decided to come up to talk about this topic, it's been something that's been brought up. Like I said, I see Stephen A. talking about it, and it's just what it is. My big thing that I wanted to just look at was with Becky Hammond coming in and doing what she did, and the way Pop threw that alley-oop up for her, because that's kind of what he did. He kind of was
Wait,
like.
So you think he
I was watching the game live.
I
didn't even think about it until I was sitting there and the man walked in. I was like, "Look, Becky's coaching. That's dope."
Yeah.
I didn't think.
Wait, so do you think he got ejected on purpose?
I don't think he did it on purpose, but I think he felt like he was in good hands. If I get booted, I'm not worried because I have a coach that does what she's supposed to. Not she, but does what they're supposed to do.
Right, and in that case, it's a she.
And it just happened to be that situation. But I know Pop. I don't know Pop, but I'm thinking the way he is, he's like, yeah, man, whatever. I'll get booted out of any game.
And you know what's interesting? Another person that got a lot of heat was the Vanderbilt, the kicker, the woman's kicker that came in. She got a lot of heat because she had one bad game. I'm like, so just because she's a woman and she has one bad game, you're going to give her all this crap, but yet a guy can have a bad game too, and people just sweep it under the rug.
It was prior to her even having a bad game. I'm watching some of the comments, and I'm like, man, this is sickening. It was sick to see.
There's a lot of hate out there, man.
And not to mention, Deacon, they came after her. The head coach went over to the soccer team and said, we want her kick. Right. She kick? We want her. So it wasn't even her talking about, I'm trying to play football.
No.
So anyways, but my whole piece was, I just wanted to touch on the holes in the coaching spots. Like, like we need more females in the NBA coaching.
Agreed.
I'd have no issue if it was 50-50 in college with the female, with females, as long as it was 50-50 in the NBA.
See, my issue,
you know what I mean? Like
my issue is this. My issue is this.
Right.
And again, I'm in support of it, and this is a sad reality. And I should say it's an issue. It's a sad reality. If we do get to that 50-50 standpoint, the white supremacists will stop watching sports or the NBA.
Good.
And the ratings will go up. Good. I agree. Good. But the point I'm trying to make is it'll hurt the ratings. But obviously that's no deal. I was just saying.
I disagree.
You don't think so?
I disagree. I think when we talk about ratings, what are we talking about? We're talking about TV. No one watches TV anymore. No one consumes TV. I mean, people watch TV, but that's not. Like when you talk about products or anything. Like even if I'm talking about content that I create, I want engagement. I don't care how many. Like I just said, I don't care how many people follow me. I care about the quality of the people following me and how much we're engaging, because that engagement is going to cause everything else. When you look at the social media platforms for NFL and the NBA versus the NFL should have way more social media following, right? But it doesn't because they locked down like 3 or 4 years ago. I think
Yeah.
they locked down their content.
Right.
You can't just use their content.
Yeah.
NBA, on the other hand, did it the opposite way. They opened it up and they're like, anyone can use our content.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, they're seeing
below.
growth not just in America but internationally. You got Giannis now, you got Luka, they're looking at the globe.
Yeah.
And
Always
so when
has.
you talk about ratings, what are we talking about? We're talking about the
Dave Stern
US? Well,
always
shit,
was.
that's
And
one
by the
country.
way, Dave
I'm
Stern-
talking about the world,
Yeah,
bro.
Dave Stern.
By the way,
How
Dave
long
Stern-
was Dave Stern on that, Dave?
Uh,
20, 30 years ago?
Stern,
by,
yeah, Stern's
by the
on
way,
that.
Dave Stern died a year ago on New Year's. Just to throw that out there, so may he rest in peace, Dave
Yeah.
Stern. But the last
He
thing.
did let our Sonic slide too, but I ain't gonna kick the man while he's.
Hey, listen. The last
Bring back our
point,
Sonics, so.
the last point I'm gonna make on this, and this time I mean the last point. Then we got to jump into the next topic, which involves the king or the goat. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm just,
Oh wait,
Time out,
let's-
time-
before you go there.
no, but
Finish that point.
I'm saying I have one more thing to say. Then
Yes,
we'll
I'm
go.
gonna let you do that, but before we go into LeBron, let's make sure we do Mason, Rudolph, and Miles.
Yes,
Garrett.
yes,
That
yes,
game's
yes.
over.
Yes, alright, but anyways, so my point I was going to make is this, so I had a situation where, so I was the statistician for the Cape basketball team for 4 years. Then I went over to St. Joe's up in Standish. And so when I was a freshman or sophomore, there was one of the first real like Black Lives Movement things where people were kneeling or linking arms or sitting for the national anthem.
Yeah.
And our coach pulls us in and says, we need to have a talk. At this time, we had two African Americans on the team.
This is
And,
a Cape.
and me, no, at St. Joe's.
Okay.
So a total of 3 people, and I was a manager, so I was looked at differently. But total of 3 people on the team that are diversity. The rest is white, so that's a very white school, by the way. The only people that are of color at that school play sport.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he pulls us in, and he goes, so you guys know everything that's going on, blah, blah, blah. What's your opinion on us potentially kneeling or linking arms during the anthem? And I thought he went about it the wrong way because the opinion of most of the white people in areas that come from areas that are mainly white supremacy, they're not going to want to do it. So it doesn't matter if the 2 people of color say, they were like, yeah, sure, we'll do whatever, because they didn't want to start an argument there.
Right.
And I would have gone in and I would have been like, listen, we have 2 people of color on our team because Husson did it. And Husson was about 50-50 or a little less. They linked arms. If I were him, I would have gone up and been like, we're doing this, I don't care what you guys say. Or he would have been like, if you guys want to do it, I'm fine with you guys doing it. If you guys don't want to do it, you don't have to. His thing was, what was your opinion on it? We were either all doing it or we all weren't. And so we ended up not all doing it, and I pulled him into my office.
Tomlin did that.
What?
Mike Tomlin.
Tomlin did
Yeah,
that.
and so
too.
the thing is like, so I walked into his office and I was like, listen, I was like, I kind of have a problem with this because, like, personally, I feel like a lot of minorities are being treated poorly, and I was like, I think that we should be having the right to do it if we want to. And he's like, I was like, we have 2 people of color that aren't doing it, and he's like, well, yeah, but they're fine with it, blah blah blah. And then he basically was like, what does the flag represent to you? And I'm like, oh, we're going down this topic. So I let him
that's
say his
all.
thing.
You don't go there with me.
No. So I just, he's like, because he was an Italian American, he's like, well, for my family, it gave us another opportunity. What did you do for your family? I was like, I see your point on that. I was like, I'm not even going to go there. So I walked out and left. Long story short, a month later, I was off the team. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. My point to that is this, that I think he approached it the wrong way.
That's interesting you say that because when I was a head coach.
And not a lot of people know that. And I'm not trying to expose anybody at all. I'm just saying that I think that nowadays it's just,
That happened.
which the thing is I was ready to sit or kneel for an anthem, knowing that up in that part of Maine, up near where West lives, you're going to get a lot of crap for doing it. A lot of crap for doing that, but I was ready to do it. And his philosophy was, we're either all in or we're not in. And I disagreed with that because...
Yeah, I disagree too.
And the other thing is this, those other 2...
I got talking about leadership versus coaching.
Right, and those other 2 minority ball players were were gone from the team in a year, and they quit. They didn't get them. And the last thing I'm gonna say is this: so he was obviously with high school, with college programs. There's a big like no weed policy.
Right.
And a player on the team, a white player on the team, got caught twice with weed, and got both times warnings and was fined. 3rd time got a suspension. The young black individual gets caught with weed, gets a 3-game suspension first time.
Just plain as day like that? And you're the manager, so you see it all.
You see it all.
That's all I'm going to say on that.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say on that.
We'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it there.
We'll leave it at that.
As a coach, I will know that it's not that black and white. But
I agree with you. But
unintended.
Yeah.
But I do agree that there are definitely there's unfair treatment going on based on implicit bias for sure.
Yes.
Right.
And also the other thing is his policy was if you get caught 3 times, you get kicked off the team. And the 3rd time the kid just got suspended. 2 games.
Is it the same for alcohol?
Yeah. Well, the rule is the same in general, but everyone kind of drank on the team, and he knew his rule was don't get caught.
Right.
Because he knew everyone was drinking. Like after a game, everyone would be drinking. So it was the same rule, but again, how he imposed it, how he went about it, that was what I was referring to. Was not the rule in general.
I have my own situation. What my producers actually was my manager, man, for all three of my years there, right?
Yep.
And during the Neil situation, remember I had to go in and you always got someone on your team that's a stool pigeon to let you know what's going on. And when I got word originally as a coach, my AD who we didn't on good terms, but I won't go on all that. But it was brought down from the top that none of the news reporters were going to be there, and none of my kids were to interview about it, and I was to not say anything about it. So it was a tough spot to be in. So I remember being interviewed and kind of saying I have my opinions on it, but I kind of did what I was supposed to do. And then I got word that I had some players that were going to take a knee, white, black, because my team was one of the more. If you look in Portland, the two Portland schools,
one of the more diverse teams.
They're the most diverse. Like Deering High School is
I
the most diverse.
I was going to say Deering's more diverse than Portland.
It is.
Yeah.
Far more.
Yeah.
And so I'll never forget how it went down. And one of the kids, it came and was, one of our stool pigeons had said, some of the guys are talking about taking a knee. So I had to gather all my thoughts and how I was going to handle the situation. And I called all the players in. This was right before our game. Or no, right. It might have been it was actually the day before the game, because none of them were able to talk to the reporters, because it was just the cap thing. It just happened. None of the players were able to talk to reporters. That was one of the things that came down from the top that my AD told us. No one can talk to the reporters. Even though you look on the news and there's other coaches letting their players talk, and a lot of their players are like, you should stand for our flag. They were saying their opinions. Their issue with backing the flag, and that was fine. Everyone should be able to have their opinion. You know what I mean? But my thing was they let the kids talk. They made sure they didn't let our kids talk. They shut that down. Okay? So I wasn't okay with it, but
you went with
first
it, right?
black coach. Well, of course, first black coach. Okay, I'm going to handle my business and do what I need to do. So I get word that there are some kids that are going to take a knee. So I bring them all into the weight room. And I'm like, so I got word that, some of you guys are thinking about taking a knee and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, well, raise your hand if that's you. Of course, some of them are tentative. And I'm thinking, in my head, man, if that's what you're about, your hand's going to skyrocket. Like, yeah, that was me.
Right.
So they all started raising their hands, and not all of them, but, some of them. And I had this nice conversation and said, hey, look. I said, we do need to think about this as a team. I said, we can go in there. You guys are free to do what you want to do. So if you decide that you want to go that route, that's the route you go. But let me talk to you about this prior to the decision that you make. I said, because decisions that you make have consequences. I said, Cap, he took that knee knowing he is putting his career in jeopardy. A lot of people don't know what they're doing when they take.
Quick side note, Cap should have a job in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. So, but I had to explain to these young men, hey, you're going to be able to do what you want to do. I said, I feel the way I feel about it, no question. I go, and everybody else has their different opinions about it. I said, but what are we going to do? I said, we're a unit, what are we going to do? So we all came up with what we wanted to do to respect that situation. So we all linked arms, we all turned our helmets, to the side. You know what I mean? We look forward, but that's how we did it. We did that for the rest of the season. And I said, now look, if you have your certain way you feel about the flag, I'm not going to make you I'm not going to make you lock arms, because some were like, Coach, well, can I put my hand over my heart? I'm like, of course you can. I'm not. But you know what I mean? And that gave a lot of my players that sigh of relief. Like, okay, Because I explained to him, I said, now understand, if you do take that knee, and I go, I'm not telling you not to, I'm not telling you to take it. If you do take that knee, understand that can reflect, I may not be coaching you anymore after this point. You know, I just want you guys to also know that. I don't want to be like, oh man, we got coach fired because we took a knee, but I want you to understand there's consequences to certain
The consequences are different for a black coach versus a white coach.
Right.
Or a black person versus a white person.
By the way,
Right.
props for you for how you handled that.
And that's how I handled it.
And I want to throw that out there.
Yes,
But-
and I had one of the players' dads reach out to me and said, "Man, my son came home, and his son is there. This family's very patriotic, you know. But his son came home and told his dad how I handled it, and his dad was like, "That was unbelievable on how you handled it. Do you think my AD? I told my AD what I did. She oh okay whatever. But she would have been losing her mind had kids have been taking knees. You know what I mean? Had we been in the news for how we handled it, she would have lost her mind. So it was just interesting on how."
I'm going to challenge on that a little bit, and that's what I do, right? So, Ibram Kendi X is taught in how to be anti-racist. So it really sat with me a lot because, and it's what kind of catapulted me into doing the work that I'm doing and speaking the way that I'm speaking. Because he says that if everything's equal, there's already such vast inequalities that we all acknowledge between, different races. And so racism is when you create those inequities on purpose, which is what's happened over the course of America's history.
Right.
And they've done everything to perpetuate that. So if we say we're going to not rock the boat, or we're not racist. So being not racist is basically actually being you have to fight against racism as be anti-racist to offset racist, right? But being not racist is not fighting racism. That's keeping things the same, which the disparities are like this, right? So in the future, I hope, and this is how I will rock moving forward, and you can hold me to that, I'm going to be anti-racist. So yes, we are going to kneel and I might lose my job, but that's going against racism, right? As opposed to just keeping things the same. Because if we keep things the same, ain't shit happening. Like, it's going to be racist, and that's we make white supremacists uncomfortable. And that's what white supremacy is. It's the boogeyman. It's someone saying, you know what, you're going to lose your job if you do that. That's white supremacy speaking to you, right? I mean, like, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And so race does not have to be a terrible topic. It's only a terrible topic because it's meant and designed to keep black people, and specifically, in the place that they're in. And that's that. And once he explained it to me like that, I was like, yo, you're right. Like, I've hurt in the movement. I've been, middle of the road too much. And I've actually exacerbated racism in a lot of ways because I'm a black face that white people are safe with. And still are. And I hope they continue to be. Because I'm a nice guy, like I want the well for everybody, obviously.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we have to eliminate that disparity.
Right.
And the only way to do that is to reverse it backwards.
Right.